Okay,
Hi.
welcome back. Week 2.
Yes.
And I was going to say, do you notice anything different about me?
Okay, let's see. Did you have some Botox?
I did.
You did? What did you have? Let me see.
So-
When'd you do it?
I did it like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's when
those
you'll
of
start
you that
seeing
don't
it.
know, I have really bad anxiety, and I was like, oh my God, I got to do it. I canceled 3 times.
Really?
Yes,
Why?
I've got, because my greatest,
great.
and I told her when I got there, I was like, my greatest fear right now is like, I'm going to have that allergic reaction. You're going to have to rush me to Thomas Hospital. She's like, you're going to be fine. You just don't know how you're going to react. So my 9-year-old, I probably told you this. My 9-year-old was like, Mom, you really look old with this. And I was like,
Harsh.
Ooh, okay then.
Savage.
And I started looking in the mirror more, and I was like, all right, like I think it's time for Botox. I mean, I'm 39. I mean,
Right.
40's knocking on the door this year.
Maintenance.
So I went, canceled it 3 times, and I was like, you're showing up.
It looks really good. I can tell.
No, like
for
literally, I'll show you before and after pictures. It's like insane. So I did the Botox here, and then I wanted to do filler in here.
Oh, you did filler?
Yes, I did filler too. Everyone was like, filler's worse. So I went to Haley
Yeah,
Dermatology
yeah.
in Fairhope.
Okay.
Like, she's really good. So I told her the concerns.
Yeah.
And so apparently I had a drooping chin.
Yeah.
So she had to build it up.
Cool.
With filler.
Okay.
And then in 4 months, I was like, you
I
could do
can't
a little
even
more.
tell.
No, but look at my freaking forehead.
Yeah, usually people overfill, you know.
Well,
so
and
you
that's
can-
the thing. I was like, you could do a little
It's
more.
good.
Now that I know I'm
It's
not going to
subtle,
die today
yeah.
and you're rushing me to Thomas,
Yeah.
like, I'm good.
The forehead you can tell major though.
No, like, literally, Tommy, night and free. Look, guys,
Yeah.
like, come on.
It's been a while. I need to go. I haven't been.
When did you start? It's worth it.
Like 2018.
I'm
That's
I'm
too
late
young.
to the game.
But also, I felt really pressured because I was working out with this group and they were all doing it, and they were like,
Yeah.
So I did it. And the first place I went was, you got to do your research and know where you're going.
100. That's why.
The first place I
yes.
went, they did way too many. I think they did like 50 units, and I looked like a clown.
Well,
like,
and
I
that's what
couldn't
she
even raise
wasn't
my-
going to do. She's
Yeah.
like, I want you to get used to it to see what it feels
Yeah, like
like.
what'd you start with? What, 18 or 20?
And I have movement. I don't even know
Yeah.
what it was. I'm just glad I lost.
Yeah, but you got movement, so that's good.
I have movement.
But you got rid of the 11s. I mean,
I know. Oh, I was like, I didn't realize it takes a week to kick in.
yeah.
So I was like,
Really, it's like
oh.
2 and 3 weeks though, so you'll see even more.
Which
but-
is crazy. I didn't know that part. The filler you see immediately, and
Mm-hmm.
already I was like, I love this. But then it started, I felt it tightening. I was doing like a training, and I was
Yeah.
like, wait, things aren't moving. And I was like trying to make like a mean face,
Yeah.
and I was like, love it.
It's
in
the best
heaven.
because then nobody can read your facial expression, you know?
I know. I don't know if that's good or bad.
No,
I
it's
know,
good.
right?
My
You can't
face gives
get
away
the-
too much.
The
you know?
mean face.
So, what did you think about it? Like when you did it it hurt or did it feel good?
No,
I like the feeling.
It's not the pain. I could handle pain very
Yeah.
well. Like, I'm not scared of
It was
pain.
the reaction.
I'm scared of, will I be that like 1 in a million have the allergic reaction and get rushed to Thomas and I can't breathe and I'm dead because of Botox.
Yeah.
That's like literally the later in life I have anxiety.
Yeah.
And you know I have anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
We go to NAR conference and literally they take us to like the 20th floor and I was like, I don't feel good.
I'm dizzy.
I was like, get me out of
"You're
here.
Fine.
I know.
Just-
And the second, if I feel something, I'm like, all bets off. Like, get me
Yeah.
the hell out of here. I need to like be grounded. So me and John are going for our 10-year to Maui, and someone was like, you should do the sunrise. Like, there's this beautiful sunrise. You're like on top of this mountain. So I started to read, and they're like, if you have altitude sickness,
Don't do it.
and I was like, I don't even know if I have that, but I just
You probably would.
I-
You would make it up.
the
when you
thing
wanna-
is,
you know?
you're trapped. I
Yeah.
think that's the whole thing. Is like
Uh-uh.
whenever I feel trapped.
Is it a hike or a helicopter ride? Or
So
what?
it's like, I think it's a ride. Like maybe you're like a bus or a car, but like you're with a group. So it's like, if I get up to this mountain at 4 a.m. in the morning and then I'm like, I don't feel good, then what happens? And the thought alone of being trapped, I'm like, I can't do
Did you
it.
see Housewives with Crystal and her blood pressure
Oh my god!
spiked?
And I literally
would
felt
happen.
for her because I'm like, I know exactly what that feels like. Even though she did have a problem. Me, it would be like mentally in my
Yeah.
brain because anxiety is just a beautiful thing.
That's a good. Hey, that might be a good title for this
Anxiety
one.
is a beautiful thing.
yeah.
But I've done the medication route. I lose my drive, so I just have to deal with it.
Yeah, you can't medicate. It's
I can't
crazy.
because I'm just like, whatever, when like that's not my true personality. Like I need this crazy fire.
Yeah.
So I got to deal with anxiety.
Well, you know, I'm like really ADHD, and so when I
know.
was young, when I was like in 3rd grade, the schools were like, we've had enough. Like, this kid's got to go on medication, right? So I had to go see the shrink. You got to sit down and talk with them and play these games and talk about your feelings.
Yeah,
and all, right?
yeah.
And the guy was like, well, the funny part was like my parents were out there waiting in the lobby, and when they said I came out, they were like, well, what'd he say? And I said, I told him that you beat me. And like had a straight face, you know. But I was like, what the hell? You know, like.
Oh my God. Did they put you on
So-
medication?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you take
But
stuff
back then-
now?
no, I probably should. But it's the same thing. Like my brothers and sisters were like,
Yeah.
please don't put him on medication because it's going to change his personality.
I
and make it
know, and
different."
that's-
and it does.
It does.
It makes you like a little more like, I don't want to say like
Calmer?
lethargic, but maybe calmer.
Yeah.
But like when I was in college, so I pledged a fraternity and I did horrible. I could not juggle doing that and having school. I think I had like a 1.9 GPA that first.
Shocking.
Oh, horrible, right? Which school was never important anyway. I was like anything above a C's a waste,
Same.
you know? So I was
I'm
like, just see,
opposite.
I was good, you know? But
Yeah.
so anyway, my second semester, I was like, I probably should try to get on something again. So I saw my doctor. I got on, I think it was Vyvanse back then.
Okay.
It's a softer release. Because like when Adderall, when you're coming off
Oh.
that shit, I'm like a roller coaster of emotions.
No,
I would be like crying.
Adderall-
I'd be angry. I'd want to fight somebody. I'd
No.
be sad. I'd be,
No,
you
it's
know?
like a drug. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a drug.
But I was taking like the highest dosage of Adderall, and I could like have conversations with 3 people, hear the teacher talk, do my work, write all the notes.
That's
I had a
amazing.
3.7 like
Shit.
that semester, and I took 18 hours that
And
semester.
you took Adderall throughout college.
Yeah,
And then you just stopped.
yeah. I was gonna say, well, I'm not gonna say that on the air.
Maybe one day.
I'll tell you more later.
Stay tuned.
I'm not going to indict myself.
That is
Yeah.
so funny. All right. Well, I guess the real estate market is picking up
Mm-hmm.
a little bit.
Okay, so for me right now,
Yeah, and just so you know, Tommy's at the beach. So like
Right.
Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. Right now we're in Orange Beach, Alabama. We're in
Welcome.
two different We're in two
Yeah.
different real estate markets.
Eastern Shore Beach.
On the Eastern Shore, we're
I feel like y'all are
first
like
time-
always more steady on the Eastern Shore.
Yes, because
you
it's-
have a higher residential.
yes, and that's what we
And
were talking about
professionals
before we
and- yeah.
started. Is his market is more of
Resort.
second home resorts. They don't have to have it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
real emotional attachment. Where it's primary residence, emotional attachment. Like they need to find somewhere to live because they got transferred here. So we have two different worlds
Yeah.
that we live.
I know I've got like 18 million in listings right now, and I was thinking the other day maybe I need to go to Daphne or Fairhope to get some consistent
I know.
stuff.
It's
It's
so,
crazy right now.
I know it really is.
But I'm getting tons of showings and lots of lookers, but no one is pulling the
I
trigger
know
right
because
now.
there's no like emotion.
And I'm like cutting prices left and right.
I
I
know.
mean, good price reductions too on a lot of these properties.
And
it's
still-
just like I think they have a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be under the gun like they were in 2021
There's
and 2020.
way more options. I
Yeah.
think that's what is your busy season? Like I know for
Spring,
us,
summer.
yeah. So now it starts to kick off.
Yeah.
See, I would think though for vacation rental, like people that have their properties managed, like when the vacations are when people aren't booking, like the end of the year, people would be more inclined to list and unload.
Yeah, but
Like
it's
during
still,
October, November, December.
And you think that would be a lot busier season because you can actually get into the units.
Yeah.
The problem
Oh,
is,
that is another thing.
in the
Showing
summertime,
down here,
yeah,
forget
it's
it.
hard.
No, you can't even get a showing in.
no,
You
I
gotta
remember
just-
like when I was little, like my dad, like the way they operated, it was like feast or famine. So you made all your money in the summertime, and then that would carry you through
Yeah.
the winter because it was like I remember being in 8th grade, and we were like walking down to the beach with my friends, and I laid across Highway 59 for like 10 minutes. There were no cars.
No?
Like, yeah, it was like
I
no,
know.
it's just a different world.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that at all now. You know what I mean?
But this is a nicer time of the year because it's
it's
about
the best.
I mean,
Yeah, but
tourist
once
season's
spring
about-
hits and it gets a little warmer, it's gonna pick up.
oh
I mean,
my God, there's going to be millions of people here. And that's the one great thing about this
yeah.
market.
But in the summertime now, it's almost impossible to show
To
units.
show.
Yeah, you have to do it on turnarounds, so you have to be available on Saturdays or Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's
you know,
hard.
sometimes Sundays. I mean, because every company's kind of different when they have their turnaround.
Yeah, that's
Usually
hard.
it's Saturdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like nobody wants to let you, especially because of COVID, because they're like, we don't want anybody
Of course.
in here.
And I
'cause-
don't
yeah.
blame them. I don't want to be on
I mean,
vacation.
If you're spending $10,000, I don't
I
want
know.
some idiot in my unit.
I
you
get
know?
it. And why didn't you guys do the vacation rental route? Like, why didn't?
So, like, my dad just was never really interested in it.
Okay.
Even though I'm kind of like, it's quick money.
Well, because you do property management long term
So
yourself.
I do long term that's
Yes.
12 months, 6 and 12 months.
Which there's a special place in heaven for people
Oh,
like
I
us.
really believe that.
Literally, I guarantee this call coming in right now. It's all rentals.
Rentals,
Like
yeah.
literally, it's
You almost have to use a fake number because it's
Literally.
going to be nonstop.
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 No.
I had an inquiry the other day, and they said, "Hi, I'm really interested in this property. My husband and I, we have 2 children. We have 2 dogs. We also have a roommate. Our roommate has 2 dogs. What's the possibility?" I'm like, "You're not getting in this unit, lady.
know.
You got 4
I
dogs.
know.
Like,
And there's especially with the condos.
yeah,
they
and a
don't allow-
roommate. Like, it's just
I
not
know.
possible.
Too many.
You can't.
No, it's
especially
hard.
these neighborhoods, they have restrictions. You can only have 1 pet per tenant or 2.
Absolutely.
So
Do you manage condos long term?
I've
More
had
single
a few here,
family.
mostly single family.
And you
yeah.
say south, like you don't go up.
I
by
used to
mid.
go up.
I know,
So I
it's
used
too
to have
hard.
a whole neighborhood in Loxley.
Yeah.
And then I sold them when the market got hot. A lot of
Yes.
them sold, and then it was just a hard market because it was kind of like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Charmont, that neighborhood.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I had the whole first phase
Got it.
when they first did it, and it was good because it was steady business. And
I
I
know.
knew the floor plans back and forth. But
No, the
it's
property
easier just to be
management
like Foley
is
South.
totally a different animal.
Yeah, but so the reason why we never got into short-term rentals is because early in the game, his broker that he worked for had short-term rentals, and he got called one night because he was on duty, and the police were on the phone, and it was some people rented a house for their 16-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And the party just
That's
grew out of
scary.
control, and there was 400 people there, and kids vomiting everywhere. Everybody was drunk.
So scary.
The house was destroyed.
So
My dad was
scary.
like, I don't want to fool with that. I don't want the liability.
Listen,
you
and
know?
the turnarounds, at least we have a year.
Yeah.
Most of the time, with the people that just leave early.
But it's every week, 3 days.
I
It
mean,
depends
that
on
is
what you-
the
yeah.
thing about putting systems in place
Yeah.
because with this property management stuff, I got one person handling accounting, one person that's handling the repairs that come in.
You
I
better
mean,
have your linen company squared away. You
Yeah.
better have your cleaners lined up. I mean, it's crazy.
I know, it's a
because they
lot.
flake. They'll get a big
I know
house.
the cleaners here
Yeah.
that's one of the hard things that I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm not hands on with the property management, the short term stuff that we do,
Yeah.
but that cleaners is always
Do you have a good cleaning company?
it's the
Okay.
topic of conversation, but now we're on to the second one. So then I was like, well, I
Did
should
you ever
open up
meet
a
with,
cleaning company.
off the record, did you ever meet with Cassia? Do you know her? Cassia? She's
Uh-uh.
good. So she just cleans and, but that's what, I mean, because the problem is if your unit is only paying, let's say $85 to clean it.
Yeah.
And they get a beach house that's going to pay
100%.
$1,500 all day
Yeah.
long, they're going.
I know.
Because the beach houses pay.
And
you
it
know?
all goes down to the reviews that people are leaving. So if you don't have a clean, literally cleaners matter.
Oh yeah, and linens matter, which
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about, over
I
the
know.
years selling them. But if you decide, oh, I'm going to save some money and buy, do a cheaper quality linen, well, all your reviews that some are going to say it feels like there's sand in the bed. Well, it's
Yeah,
not
I could
sand;
see
it's
that.
a cheap linen that's getting
I could see
the
that.
pools on it.
I know, it's just a
beating
crazy
up. Yeah.
world. All right, so I think we've been in this game for 20. I'm on 20 years.
14
You're
for
on
me, yeah.
14 years. So when I say what is one of your craziest stories, what comes to mind?
Okay, so I have shared this story before on Facebook, but I
God.
always say it's my number 3 story. So
Okay. Number 3 as is the number third, the craziest. Okay,
I will get to it. So I can't give it all away.
All right.
So I had a listing on Ono Island, which Ono Island in Orange Beach is a real exclusive gated barrier island. It's got water all the way around it. It's a beautiful place. It's changed quite a bit over
Yes.
the years. This house was probably $400,000 back then. That was
Yeah.
probably 2013 or 14.
Oh my
it
God,
was,
imagine.
It was an interior lot. It was vacant. The owner, did not have all the utilities on. He had the power on, but not the water.
Okay.
So there is a whole etiquette to when you go and look at homes
Yeah.
or when you are showing homes.
Yes.
And sometimes you get a phone call and it's not on your cell phone. It's God. It's nature. Okay. And you have to answer that call, right?
You personally?
Not me.
Okay.
No, God, not me.
Okay.
When you hear the story, right? So I got a phone call from an agent who showed the property and said, hey, you may want to come up here and look at the property, in the bathrooms, I was like, okay, well, can you tell me why? And they're like, you probably need to, So I go up there and again, the water is off. So if you were showing a property and
that's
nature
vacant.
calls,
Make sure the water's on.
make sure the water's
or
on
put
before
it on
you
in a
use the
sink.
facilities.
Yes.
So the shit people don't tell you that we deal with as agents is that
Literally.
we are the maintenance person. We're now the plumber.
Yep.
We're responsible for this property. We
Yep.
got to make sure it's put back in shape so
Especially
that
if
somebody will
vacant
look at it.
homes,
Because if
yeah.
it smells and it's nasty, they're out the door.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I have a very sensitive gag reflex. If I smell something I don't like, I'm going to throw up. Okay. So meanwhile, I walk in this bathroom and it's a straight number 3. Okay. What is a number 3? A really bad number 2. Okay. Like you should probably go to the doctor. Really bad
And the
number 2.
agent didn't call you and say
Nobody called me. It could have been a buyer that just went in there and didn't tell
I
them.
know, but
They might
Yeah,
not.
that's
I don't know.
true.
I don't know. So,
like we're
what do
talking
you do when there's no?
walls?
Oh, like it looked like someone was murdered. Okay, in this
How does that
commode.
even happen?
Rachel, and I'm like,
On Ono Island.
So, I had to go to the neighbor's house and borrow their water hose and fill up a bucket to pour down the back of this toilet to get it to flush before I could even start cleaning all the shit up.
You cleaned it?
Yes. I was like very early.
Impressed.
I was throwing up. I was like gagging the whole time. I probably threw up in the, I don't know. I don't remember. I kind of blocked some of it out.
You cleaned it?
Mm-hmm. So there is a showing etiquette that if you have to use the bathroom, make sure that the water is on.
Literally.
Please.
Oh my God, that is the worst.
And also, I probably double check. I'll flush the toilet and turn on the faucet.
Turn on the faucet. Make sure.
If it starts going,
no.
it means we don't have water.
It's
going out.
very rare that I try to use the restroom in some.
I don't like to do that anyway. But yeah.
What was I gonna? Did you sell the house?
No, I didn't sell the house actually. After all that, right? I think I ended up renting it for a year, and then I think he sold it to a neighbor or something. I don't really remember how it ended, but no.
Yeah, I've never cleaned up someone's.
That's the bright side of real estate that you don't hear about.
Literally every day, it's a new story.
Yeah.
Literally.
What about you?
So what comes to mind is it was many years ago. It was in Alberta, in Alabama. I had a listing, and we got the house under contract, and the seller just went MIA, which every now and then you get one of those sellers that are just flight risks. So she just went MIA. We're under contract, and I'm like, all right, what's going on? So finally she called me, nothing ever happened.
You represented her,
I represented the seller. Okay. So it was nothing ever happened. She called me. I'm like, all right, we're getting ready. We're getting closer to closing. Are you good with everything? Everything was great. So a few days before closing, I remember she called me. She's like, I'm not going to be able to move out of this house. I'm not going to sell. And I remember at the time I was younger. So every closing mattered.
Right.
And it was the beginning of the year. We came off the fourth quarter. It was just oh my God, all this work. I'm trying to find you. I'm trying to locate you. Where are you? So, the buyer was getting irritated because they did their final walkthrough. And I mean, this house was just everything was still in this property. So I remembered, and there's a lot of Hail Marys to John. I was 5 months freaking pregnant. Literally, me and him, and he got his friends, all brought their trailers, and literally in 24 hours, we moved this lady out of this property. So then she still was I don't know if I should do this. I was like, no, we have a crew, the buyer, and the buyer's now threatening because the buyer's mad.
Document.
You have a contract, no one forced you, we're at the end. The buyer's mad. You're not fulfilling the contract. I have people moving in, they have kids. So I'm like, all right, I'm driving you to the closing table. I don't even trust you at this point. So they're still loading. The buyer came. They weren't thrilled with the situation, but we had it under control. I mean, literally, I'm 5 months pregnant, and I'm manually moving stuff because she had another property on the same street. Thank God.
Thank God. That's easy.
Easy to move it to. I drive her to the closing company, Reland Title with Melissa. Hi, can I take in Daphne from Alberta? So what? That's 30 minutes with her in my car at least. And then we get there. I wasn't even thinking myself to make sure. Can we get a copy of your driver's license?
Oh, no.
Yep. No driver's license. So.
John, are you still at the house? Go through her things.
No, everyone was gone. So she had to stay, go get the driver's license, come back.
You went and got it.
I mean, she was not leaving. She was sitting there, and she was not going to leave. So that was one of my crazier experiences. I remember I was like, what the? And since then, I don't know if I put it out to the universe, but I've moved people. I don't know what it is.
You did. You put it out.
I don't know.
The first one.
I'm just why am I moving you? We're just not adulting good.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done it. That's not the first time. I think the last time was probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was a 4,000 square foot house, and we did it in 24 hours. But the thing is, when there's a will, there's a way. I was like, no, we're going to get there.
Well, we did a lot of foreclosures back in the day. We had a direct Fannie Mae contract, and we had this one house in Lillian that was on our, you have to go and check properties weekly.
Yes.
You may not ever even get the listing, but you have to drive by it every week, do a report, say what you saw, whatever. Well, this one, they had an attorney that kept kind of blocking it. So they stayed in that house for, I think, 3 years without ever paying a mortgage payment. That's how in default that was, right?
Crazy.
So finally, we go through all the hoopla. They go to court. They have a set out date when they're going to be gone. The people are on vacation, and of course they could be because they've saved all these monthly payments. They haven't paid anything. They are nowhere to be found. So the sheriff gets there. The house is packed to the brim.
Yep.
And I'm talking it's expensive stuff. It's crystal stuff. It's Tiffany's lamps.
And they're not even packed up to leave.
Not even one box. So the order is you set it on the street.
I know. I've been there with an eviction.
Oh, it was horrible.
Horrible. And you did that? You had
Yeah.
to put it all to the street?
We had to put
Because
on
then
street.
they have
the
a
attorney got
time.
there. He's like, hey, now wait a second.
No.
These aren't like normal folks. These people have money. I was like,
They
that
had
is
time.
irrelevant at this point
They had
because
time.
like we have an order and the sheriff has to stay here until all this is out.
I know, that's the
So we
most-
had to hire a moving company. The moving company came, loaded everything in. They took 3 days to get this house empty.
That is crazy.
They wrapped everything. I think that it cost like, yeah, because see,
Who did?
our job.
Who paid for that?
So I think the attorney hired them.
Okay.
Okay. Because we were like, no, we're not doing it. We're
don't
not going to be
blame
stuck
you.
with that bill. It was like a $15,000
I
bill. It was
know.
really high, right? And so, because legally we were supposed to just set it on the street and then leave and change the locks. And so he had them load it all up. They took it to a a storage unit. He rented the unit.
That's
And
nice.
then guess what?
What?
Those people never paid him.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, well, they have money,
Not
but they never
surprised.
paid
I
you.
just
What'd
don't
you think? Why'd you take that
understand
risk?
The adulting. Like there's a timeline. A judge gives it to you. Why can't you fulfill your
Oh, it's horrible.
duties?
Yeah.
That's
Well, we saw it all the time, things like that. You know?
I know
It's
the
like-
back in the day.
It was
like,
tough. I didn't like that.
I know. It's so hard
Yeah.
with the foreclosures. I remember when I first moved here in 2011, that's what we were doing. It's sad. I
Yeah.
mean, it really was sad. And it's just like,
It's like the lowest point in somebody's. You know what I mean? And you're
Exactly.
there to be like, hey, I'm here to change the laws.
and just seeing how
yeah.
people live too. It's hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, some houses that it went,
I
I
know.
was like mortified.
I
like,
know.
How did y'all
And then
even
there's
breathe this in?
children in there.
The kids would bother me.
The
if they were
kids
kids.
always. Even now when I go, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to, see how people live behind closed doors.
Oh, I had this house in Fairhope one time that was a foreclosure.
Yeah.
And we had to, you check it weekly, and they have a crew that would go and clean it weekly.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they would take pictures, they cleaned it. Well, every time I went in there would be a huge pile of poop in the middle of the floor. And so I kept calling them. I said, they are not cleaning this house. There is poop right here on the floor. Like, they're like, man, we have cleaned it. We got the pictures. They are dated. Like, we have been there. They go, I don't know what that is. They clean it up. Go back, poop in the floor. Okay? Can't figure it out. It's the weirdest thing, right? Not a little poop. It's a big poop, okay? So we're like, does somebody have the code? Does somebody come in here messing with us?
Yeah.
House sells. The people call us, and they say, do you know of anything with this house? And we're like, what do you mean? They're like, well, there's an iguana that's in the walls, and it's
Stop.
coming out from the AC vent and pooping in a full-size
Stop.
iguana living in the walls of their house.
Never heard this in my life. That is crazy.
I can still see the house. I don't know what the street was on. It's
Iguana.
an iguana
I
living
don't
in
even
the
know if I've ever
walls.
seen an iguana here.
Oh well, they sent a picture. It's a big ass like lizard thing.
Oh, maybe it was their pet.
I think it was their pet.
Their
and
pet.
It lived in the house, and it was pooping on the floor every day.
Shocked.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah. I have a lot of shit stories today.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're going down the. I'm trying to think. Do I have any? I don't think I have any.
The shit they don't tell you in real estate.
Yeah, literally.
Gaineswood, is that the name? Is that a neighborhood? Gaines something?
I don't know.
It's on that. I can still see it. It's a red
It's
brick
down
house.
here?
It's in Fairhope.
Oh, in Fairhope, you said. Okay. Oh my God, that is freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I had another one. I was thinking about this one the other day, and I talked about it in one of my videos. So I represented the buyer in this situation. It was like during the holidays, and they were all excited to move into their property. And I literally get a call from the listing agent. I mean, we're like 3 days from closing. And he's like, the sellers don't want to sell. Like, we're not closing. And I was like, yeah, that's not how it works. I have a family moving in. It's the freaking holidays. They envision their Christmas tree, their kids, Santa's coming to this house.
Right.
Like, not going to go down on my watch. And I think he really thought I was going to say, okay, like,
We'll
we'll
find
just
another
find
one."
another house in December before Christmas.
No.
I was heated. I was in Target. I was down the aisle, and I was like, oh, this is not going down. First call I make to an attorney that I talk here to, and I was like, all right, so, like, what do we have to do? And she's like, well, we'll have to write them a letter and say, you have to perform. Like, legally, you need to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So we wrote the letter. Me and the agent went back and forth multiple times, and I'm like, we're not backing down. You have to legally fulfill your contractual duties on this property. So, long and behold, we got them to the closing table. I mean, but it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of like arguments and fighting, which I'm like,
And what's the problem? Why do they want to close?
they didn't want to this day, I don't even think I even know why they didn't want to close. You know, some people just like, it's
Yeah.
like,
They're
they
like,
just,
I just signed a contract, but I don't want to.
and they think it's okay.
Yeah.
So we go to do the final walkthrough. I meet the buyers over there. I got there first. So I went in the house, make sure I was like nervous. You know, it's a very, we were not going to be buyers and sellers closing at the same time for this closing.
Hell no.
We were going to be at separate hours and separate locations. We were not going to see, and no one was going to see each other for this closing. So I go inside and I was like, oh, the lights aren't coming on, but you need to have the utilities on for your final walkthrough.
Right.
So I'm like,
Per the contract.
oh, I'm like, great, here we go. So I call Riviera, that's the power company in our area, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing a final walkthrough. The power's off. Like, how soon do you think you can get it back on? And she's like, what's the address? Give her the information. She's like, no, the meter's still there. The power's on. And I was like, no, it's not. So I went back in the house. I looked up. I was like, something told me to look up. I looked up.
No.
They took every effing light bulb. And I'm saying it was work. They took it out of all the globes. I mean, these ceilings were not low ceilings. They took every single light bulb out of that house as an F you to us because we made you to perform on a contract that you agreed to.
That is a new level of pay.
No, every light bulb.
I would have sent them an invoice.
How does your brain go to that? Why you're going to be spiteful to us because we made you perform?
Because we're paying you to buy your
Light
house.
bulbs, all gone. I know.
Wow.
You see new levels of adulting in this industry.
So what'd you do? Go buy light bulbs and screw them in? Or
I mean,
just say,
I think we were both mortified and in a state of shock. I mean, the buyer was like, handy contractor.
and
Obviously,
he's like, I just want them out. And
yeah.
let me just close.
And obviously we weren't going to bring it up and be like, you owe it. We weren't going to do that because we're
Right.
just thankful to even get the house before Christmas.
Here's the thing. Karma is a real thing.
And that is what I go to every single
it
time.
will always
Karma.
come back, you know?
Literally.
I mean, if you put good in the world, you're going to get good back. You do
100
bad things like that, it's going to come back
To
tenfold.
think, like, what's the thought process?
Who has
like,
that time?
Like, stand back. You guys go ahead. I'm going to stay here an extra hour and take every single light bulb out of a 4-bedroom house. And I'm saying, we're not talking low ceilings. Like, you
10-foot, 12-foot ceilings. Yeah.
The
That's
energy
insane.
that went into that
Yeah. Bye.
is,
That's ridiculous.
and you're right. Karma does take care of situations like
It
that.
may not be right now, but it's going to happen.
100,000,000%.
it always
You
catches
do
up.
good, you get good. I live by that.
Yep, same.
I know.
All right, so what is one thing you would say that you see rookies, like mistakes they make, or some guidance that you could give, like new agents?
So
in the
I think they
business?
get discouraged
100%.
super easily. And I think I always let my agents know, like, shit's gonna happen. It's never gonna fail. Like, stuff is
It's not
always
unique to
going
you.
to happen.
Yeah.
It's not boo-hoo. And remember, it's about the client. Not that you lost a deal, not that a deal is not gonna work out for you. It's about what's best for the client.
Right.
And that everything happens for a reason. So if you lost that contract, the inspection didn't do good, it's better for the client. So I think agents get discouraged. It is not a make money day one out of real estate. It takes 1 year of being consistent and showing up. And that's another thing, being consistent and showing up that I find agents and, just struggle with.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I've always said, I think, realtors, our seasoned agents, we don't shed light on the negativity behind the scenes of what happens. They only see positive. We sold the house. We're
Right.
going on a vacation. You don't see all this other stuff that we go
spoke
through.
to that client for 2 hours
Yes.
daily.
So
it's
literally,
crazy,
So when an agent comes into this market and they
Yeah.
have this expectation, it's usually not what it is. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Well, I think we mentioned it the last podcast. Like when I was brand new in the business, I was in the same office as my dad.
Yeah.
And I would get discouraged because people would walk in and say, "Hey, I've got this $1 million house I want to sell. Will you help me go
know.
list it?" I'd be like, "Damn! Like what's
I know.
happening?" But again, it took him 30 years to build
Absolutely.
a repeat and referral business, so it doesn't happen overnight. And I think another big thing is like emotions. Like you gotta check your emotions at the door.
100%.
I think like I see it so much time and time again. Like people want it right now, when they want it, how they want it, and
Absolutely.
it doesn't always work like that in
No.
this business. And your job is to keep everybody calm.
It's
Like you
so
don't want to
true.
activate your buyer or your seller. Like just kind of brush things off. It's not a big deal. We're gonna work through
So
it.
true.
If you stay calm, it's gonna stay calm. and it's gonna work.
100%. And that's what
But
I say.
if you start pushing people and asking for deadlines, and
Yes.
you get me this and you get me that, like we are nothing but like independent contractors in this industry, and we're all independent contractors for a reason because we don't like someone telling us what to do. You know what I mean?
This is so
it's
true.
like don't tell me to give me that form or get me that or don't bark orders at me because guess what? I'm not doing.
I know. That's
I'm going to take my dear sweet time. You know?
know.
If it gives me 5 business days on that contract to get you those documents, day 5 you're getting them if you're going to be like that. You know.
And I think
I will match your energy. You know.
Totally. And I think another thing is too. I always tell my agents, and you're working with the other agent on the other side.
Yeah.
So your common ground is to try to get your clients across the finish line.
Yeah.
So you got to work together with that other agent. Mm-hmm. There's a loud car outside,
motorcycle.
guys. Sorry. So you have to work with that agent to get your clients over the finish line, and don't one up each other. I cannot stand.
I know.
I've been in the business for 30 years. This is the way it should
this
go.
is the
Well,
way we
you know
do
what?
it. Yeah.
Maybe it's not going to go that way after 30 years in this deal.
But like the end of the day, I would like a check. My seller would like a
Yes.
check. I want to work with you.
Absolutely.
Like, let's just keep the peace and let's make it easy.
And
you
you're
know?
going to see each other again. So it's not like you're one and done.
And why do you want to make a sour taste in your mouth?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, so there's this
waste of
agent
energy.
that's so sweet in my office, and she literally every deal it seems like she has this agent on the other end that's just kind of steamrolling her, you know. And it's because she's not very assertive. You know, and I tell her all the time, you got to be you can be nice, just be assertive, and you can say no, and you can, you know.
Yes.
She had this agent, you know, in our contracts, the way they read, like line 32 about condos and the condo docs and things like that.
Yes,
if you don't check the box, that means I want those documents,
Of course.
This agent told her, well, I didn't receive an email from you requesting the documents, so I need you to send me an email requesting those documents, and then I'll get them to you. Like, no, read your contract. You've got 5 business days to get me those, or you're not performing.
I know.
Like, why you gotta be like that?
I
Get
know.
me the documents. You're wasting time. That's redundant.
know.
It says it in the contract. Why do I have to send you an email?
I know.
You
So
know?
I think it comes down to education. I mean, you know, I think a lot of us seasoned agents.
But some of those are seasoned agents.
I
that act
know,
like that,
and that's
you know?
the thing too. I mean,
The new agents are scared to death to make a
I
mistake,
know,
so they're
this is
gonna
true. The seasoned agents
walk a fine line.
definitely feel like they have more leeway for things too, because
And they wanna
they're a lot
flex.
more lax than my newer agents. I mean, the questions.
Oh Lord.
I'm like, I know you're nervous. I know
Yeah.
you want the help, but sometimes
okay.
we have to think
I know.
or Google.
Yeah, Google. I tell them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ask a friend? Did you Google? Then you ask me. If you've done
Yes.
those things and you can't get the answer, then come to me. I'm happy to help if
Yeah.
you do the work. I can't do the work for you.
No, I literally say,
Did you Google?
Yeah.
I mean, you had somebody say, "Well, what about? Do you know a rental company this?" I said, "Yeah, I think this one's over there. What's their number?" I'm like, Google it. I don't know. I'm not a walking phone book. I don't, you know, like,
the worst.
oh, let me stop what I'm doing and Google it
I
before you
know,
then
and-
give it to you.
And
you
I
know?
always was a self thinker. I always like
Me
looked
too.
I never
A
wanted to ask.
self-starter.
I didn't want to ask questions because I'm like, oh my
Unless
god.
I exhausted every
Yes,
other
always. And I
opportunity.
don't like to wait for the answer. I
Me
like
neither.
to look it up. I mean, obviously, if it was detrimental, I would wait. But
Right.
there's a lot. Google does a lot of things. We didn't have.
Yeah,
that
but
much
they'll be
Google.
like, "What? How did you find
And now
that?"
AI.
I'm like, Google. They don't even know how to go. And to people, it's not just like an older generation.
I know.
Like I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Which I wear with pride now because
I don't know. I think I'm a millennial.
I think you are.
I think
what's
by,
your birth date? Your year?
84.
Yeah, you're a millennial.
Okay.
I think it's like 82.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So like my wife though, she can't Google worth shit. She cannot. I'd be like, just type it in Google. I've been searching for hours. I'm like, give me your phone, and I do it, and it's like, she
Literally.
goes, how'd you find that? I'm like, I guess I have.
Yeah, and I'm a fast decision maker
Me too.
too.
Yeah,
like
I don't
that's
like to
the
wait.
one thing. Like I know my gut speaks to me, and
Yeah.
decisions made.
And if you don't trust your gut, it burns
Yes.
you every time.
And if I don't answer you fast enough, I tell people that's because I don't have an answer for
Yeah.
you, and I probably don't like what you asked me.
Right.
Because if I know, I know.
Yeah, I feel that.
Literally, if I know, I know. A-type personalities.
Yeah. So did you see that brands are changing their logos because this new generation can't read cursive? Have you seen that?
No.
Eddie Bauer, you know, it's a cursive
Yeah,
Eddie
I know.
Bauer. They can't read cursive, so they changed it to block letters. Johnson & Johnson block letters.
Never knew that. Which is so weird, and it is. So I have a 13-year-old, and he only likes to write in cursive.
Oh, that's strange.
So
Yeah.
I'm always like, he only likes to write in cursive, but he also has dyslexia. So I'm wondering if it helps him to write
Maybe,
in cursive.
yeah.
But he only likes to write in cursive. 13 years old. So are they still teaching it in the schools?
They are, but I think they're considering taking it out because they feel like it's a dead.
Well, I mean, now with the computer and typing, I mean, you
know.
don't need cursive.
But I told my kids, I was like, you're learning because you're going to be able to read cursive. Like,
I totally agree with
That's
that.
horrible.
It shouldn't be like a foreign language to anybody.
we're doomed, man. Like,
Crazy.
it's wild. So,
No.
and I have to hear bruh or that's sus or no
Bruh,
cap one more
sus.
time. I'm like, please.
I know. Do your kids do the Oculus? Are they into
No.
Oculus? All right, so we're very
I
big.
try to be like really like
Yeah.
Not a lot of
Well,
Eiffel
the
Towers.
thing is that I do like about the Oculus is my boys, they are sweating at night.
Oh.
They play, yes,
It's like
they
exercise.
play
That's a good
gorilla
idea.
tag. Literally, they are so active. I mean, they're like sweating, and I'm like, I'm all for it.
Okay, maybe I need to look into that.
I mean, it's really not a bad thing. Now, some of the kids on there do have foul language, so I'm always like, stop with the language. But like my boys, they're at a little bit older
Right.
age, so they know better.
Yeah.
But literally, the workout that they're getting, I'm
Okay.
here for it.
Yeah,
My little
absolutely.
husky Jaden's like slimmed down.
Yeah, wow.
I know.
Okay.
So I'm all for the Oculus.
Who knew?
Who would have known? I mean, it's a great way to get
Okay, how do
activity
you do
because
that?
now
Gorilla? What is it called?
Gorilla Tag
Okay.
on those.
Yeah,
Oculus.
because I can't stand it when they're on the like. You can always tell like when they're on the iPad too long, their face gets
Oh
red.
my God, I
do
can't.
yours get? Do their face get red?
Yes, I cannot.
Why is that?
It's like a drug, and I wish I never got started with the iPads.
I know. So we have always like
You're lucky.
we only do it like on car trips, right?
I know, you're very lucky.
Well,
like that.
Christmas, Ollie wanted an iPad Pro so she could do the
Yeah,
drawing
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. So we got her one. So then Jetty, she broke her little Kindle that we bought her, so I bought her a new one. And then Temple inherited Ollie's old Kindle One Fire thing.
Yes.
And now it's like all they want to do is be on the. They're all iPads in our house, even though they're Kindles, but all they want to do is be on their iPads.
I know. It's
And I'm
like it literally is like
and
a
have
drug.
the TV on, and
I-
Ollie has
See,
the
my kids don't
headphones,
even-
and she wants the music playing on.
They're not
Siri.
into TV. They're not into watching movies. They're into their iPads.
Yeah.
So the good thing is they're at school all day. That's why I like to go like on family trips. But I mean, there are some weekends where like none of us want to leave the house. I get
Right.
it. Like
I know. I'm
that's
freaking
their-
tired.
Like
you know?
I like to watch my reality TV. That's theirs as long as they're not like. Talking to people, telling people where they live. I talk about
Right.
stranger danger. Don't tell people where you live. I mean, one time I was yelling at Jaden in the background because I heard about. I was like, Jaden. He's like, don't say my name.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like,
good boy.
you are learning.
Yes.
You are learning. So he got mad because I even said his name. I was like, all right, we don't
Sorry
give out
about that, yeah.
information.
Okay, let's switch gears.
Okay.
What's your top 3 recommendations for someone? I don't know what I'm doing. It's been a long time since I've listed a home. What are your top 3 recommendations to me to get on the market?
To find listings or
no,
to
if I'm
advertise?
selling my home, I'm a seller. I've been in my house for 10 years. I'm kind of new to the game, starting
Okay.
over.
So I would reach out to local realtors in your real estate market. I would talk to more than one because I feel like we all do things differently.
Yeah.
Find out how they advertise your property, what price point they feel like they should be listing it at, because we're all probably going to give you different answers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think today, in today's market, because so many buyers are not from this area and they come from different areas, different states, what are you going to do advertisement wise to advertise my property? I feel like that's huge in today's market is how many eyes are you going to be able to get seen on my property, and also communication. Are you going to give me feedback? I mean, I think these are great questions you should ask. Are you going to give me feedback after showings? Are you going to do open houses? I think these are the questions you should be asking a real estate agent when
The
you.
hard one with the feedback is that you have to hunt down
I
agents to
know.
get feedback. Most times they won't give it to
But
you.
so I do. I let my seller know I don't have feedback.
Yeah.
Now I've tried and I don't have it for you at least.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I know. So I think communication is key and advertisement is key.
Okay. What about like preparing my home? Like what should
Declutter. I mean, totally declutter.
How do you feel about like family pictures and things? Do you think
That
those should
doesn't
stay?
bother
Okay, it doesn't
me.
bother me
It
either. And a lot of
doesn't
people like
I don't
take
know
all the-
why-
depersonalize it.
That
but I'm
doesn't bother me at all. It's
Yeah.
just like less is more. So like everything off the bathroom vanity tops,
Yes.
everything off the
Off
kitchen
the fridge,
countertops.
yeah.
Take all this stuff. Like anything that someone's eyes can be drawn to in the pictures that is just like too much going on, get rid of it.
Right.
Load up the closets, load up your garage. Don't take pictures there. Just declutter.
Okay.
And if there's a lot of different colors, I might recommend neutral paint
Okay.
because
So how do you swing that? Do I pay for that as an agent, or do I
The
pay for
paint?
that as the
the seller pays to paint their house.
Absolutely, but
yeah.
I mean, people ask that. They
Yeah, I
want to
don't
know.
know.
They
The
think
seller-
that as the agent, well, I got to earn my commission. I got to stage it. I got to paint it.
No.
I got to do all these things.
I mean,
you know?
advertisement, pictures, all the communication. I mean, when you really break it down, in some of these cases, by the hour, if you've had a listing 3, 4, 5 months, communication,
Yeah.
doing this, I mean, it's minimum wage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you really put the numbers down on paper, and then on top of it, you got to pay the taxes because we're independent contractors. I mean, it's like I keep saying, we advertise this is an amazing, everything's great business. We're on these trips, we're doing this, but you don't really understand behind the scenes.
Well, and they just see, oh, well, you get this big piece of the pie, but they don't see, well, this portion goes
But
here.
break it
this
down.
portion goes
Yeah,
here.
break it
It's
down.
kind of like agents too. Even real estate agents, they say, well, I don't want to work for that broker anymore because I want to make 100% of what I do. Okay, newsflash, if you're a business owner, there's no such thing as 100%.
Never.
You got your rent, you got your lights, you got your internet, you got your dot loop you're paying for, any kind of e-signature,
your
E&O, your
websites.
liability, your website. I mean, you name it.
It adds up
You add
real
all that
fast.
stuff up and stack it up next to your commission, you're probably 50%.
I know.
Most times, agents
so
are better
true.
either switching companies if they're not happy with their broker or staying put where they are.
It's so true. And
You
I think
know?
it all comes down to the agent too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, if you want to switch, start over, get a I get it.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I
People
get
need
it.
change. They
People
wanna
need
try to adapt
change
and-
to
yeah.
start over and rebrand I get it. But I feel like that's not always the answer. You
Right.
got to look within you. What can you change about you? What you're doing in your daily life? What are you not showing up to? What you can change?
It's got to be personal
It
accountability.
always
It's your
comes down
business.
to the agent,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, you could change the scenery, you could change the place you're going into business, you could change it up, but you're still with
Yeah.
you.
If you don't change your habits, you're not changing anything.
Exactly.
And the best quote I've heard too is like, if it's comfortable, you're not growing.
It's so true.
It's got to be uncomfortable to have growth.
100.
You've got to do
1,000,000%.
things outside your box
Yes.
that you don't want to do that other people aren't willing to do either to get results.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
so true. If I am in I don't like comfort zone. Like if I know if
No.
I'm in a comfort zone,
We're
like
going
I'm
backwards.
not growing.
Right.
Like I'm not like there's no daily motivation, and that's what keeps me going. I'm always trying to build, do more.
What
you know,
have I not tried or what have I not done?
yes.
You know? Like,
What can I do different? What can
Yeah.
I learn? What more skills can I have? What tools can I provide? I'm always, I mean, this brain never stops.
never stops. I know.
So I'm always trying to evolve. I'm always trying to, bring new tools and tips to my company. It's always,
And that's why I tell people too, they go, oh, well, this brokerage is offering me 90%.
yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's great. But like, you need to know that 90%, like 0 of 90% is still 0.
I know.
You know what I mean? So if you're not going to do the work,
It's so true.
it doesn't matter what
It's
they're paying you.
And that's another thing too with this part of, owning brokerages and it's another sales pitch too. So
Yeah.
people are calling you. I know brokerages hire people to call and recruit. It's another sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes down to you. You can make it happen no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to the agent. Like, what are you putting in your daily business to succeed?
But you know what? Also, like the best people to sell to are realtors.
I know.
Like they are a dream for like these
Yeah.
vendors. Like if you go to these like
I know the NAR conference.
yeah.
I went home with like these lights that go on
Yeah.
the signposts. I know.
Yeah. It's like all these vendors. I mean, they make thousands
I
of
know.
dollars, and then you buy all these books
Listen.
and all these tapes and these programs,
Yeah.
and guess what? The
Yeah.
realtor never uses them.
No,
you
it's
know?
true. Even when you went to NAR, they sold these shoes, like the most comfortable.
Do you wear 'em?
No, never. They
Really?
Never.
'Cause
I
what? They
could.
suck? Is that what
No,
you
no. They're very comfortable, but they're not my go-to.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna choose from.
Right.
But they sold the shoes. I was sold in the shoes.
Oh,
I'll
they
walk
bought. You
better.
wouldn't.
I
believe
mean,
her and Jamie Cooper. Y'all bought
but
like
last year I didn't do anything.
probably like $1,200 for the shoes.
Last year,
between the
me and
two of
Jamie
you.
went in there and we're like, we're not like, there's nothing.
I know,
to
but
buy.
every year I'm always like,
Every
don't
year.
buy it, don't do it,
Every
don't buy it.
year.
They're like, no, we're gonna do it.
Literally, I have like those
Those
lights
lights, yeah,
that
both
go
of
on
them.
your signpost that reflect at night.
Revolutionary to make your
Never.
sign.
But I was like in it. I was like, yes. And then I had like a sign inside out form for my agents.
Yeah.
No one's interested in the
No.
damn sign.
Although I drove by a sign the other night and they had the little
The
light
light
on
up.
top. Yeah.
I mean, it looks cute at night.
Yeah.
I'm never out at night, so I think that's why I don't care. Because I'm not like, I don't see signs at night because
Yeah.
I literally never go
I
out
don't
at night.
see at night very well.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Oh
Like
my
dusk,
God.
I can't see.
I just drove with my 13-year-old to Legoland and I
Yeah.
just went alone with him. And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
fun. Yeah.
driving at night.
Yeah,
Don't.
that's
I literally was like a grandma. I was like holding on for dear life. I was like, I cannot see. This is not me. I'm not driving at night. I don't. There's nowhere to go.